Hello, Fred.
Hello, John.
It is truly good to see you again.
Always good to see you.
How have you been?
I've been doing good, thank God. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very well.
All right.
Very, very well. We are here again.
Hello out there.
We are here again, YouTube fans.
Fred and John Talks.
Fred and John Talks. If you like us, please subscribe. If you don't tell your friends that. Tell your friends that you love us.
Yeah, lie a little bit.
Those of you who follow us know that we do various segments about various topics. We're very diversified fellows, very diversified fellows. We like different topics. And today we've picked on a topic that we think is meaningful to virtually everybody. And it's going to be a discussion back and forth about hands. We believe there's hand signals.
When children have, I'm sorry, parents have little children, they go peekaboo.
I did that just a few days ago.
You did? With your grandchildren?
Yeah, with a baby. And you can do that with unknown babies in a restaurant. You know, you play with them, and the parents love it.
Ah, sure.
And you go like that. We go like that.
Yeah, right. Well, yeah, that brings to mind the Roman emperors, in the Colosseum. Whether the gladiator was going to die or not,
Oh, yeah.
The hand meant a lot. Or this.
Exactly. So I'm going to ask Fred a question because we're going to really get serious and maybe a little bit humorous sometimes about hands. Fred, tell me about the handshake. Where the heck did handshake come from?
I thought you'd never ask, John.
You said you did research on it.
Yeah, I don't know how well circulated this story is, but I've always loved it. I read this many years ago that, and don't ask me how the thinkers or philosophers, whoever thought this up, how they came up with this, but I love it. They said that they theorized that the handshake originated in ancient times in more warlike cultures. Not that we don't have a lot of war, but it was a gesture. The raising of the hand towards you was a way of saying, I have no weapon. I don't mean you any harm. And then I guess they started joining hands, and they theorized that that's where the handshake started, which is way cool, is it not?
It is. It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Because if somebody comes at you with a hand but has a pistol in it, you're not inclined to hold on to the pistol to try and unless you're trying to take it away from them.
Well, and then my other thought was, you see how much things have evolved with high fives.
Oh yeah.
You and I do fist pumps.
Tipping your hat with your hand.
Yeah. Waving.
Back to hand signals. What does this mean, Fred?
For me, that's baseball. You're out.
Exactly, baseball.
Or you're safe. Hands. But let's give a little bit of a biblical background.
Yeah.
If you don't mind.
Get into it.
Because this actually covers hands, the part that hands are made up of, and something at the lowest part of your body.
Wait and see.
From Psalm 8. O Lord, our Lord, how majestic is your name in all the earth. When I look at your heavens, the work of your fingers, the moon and the stars which you have established. What is man that you're mindful of him, and the Son of Man that you care for him? Yet you have made him little less than the angels and crowned him with glory and honor. You have given him dominion over the works of your hands. You have put all things under his feet. So we have fingers, hands, and feet in that one psalm. Psalm 8. Check it out. By the way,
I like that.
At the risk of breaking the flow, Italians, we talk with our hands.
Oh, come on, really?
I've seen myself on, and I'm doing it right now. I've seen myself on our films talk about my hands. I should sit on them.
Going from hands to feet. Here's something about me, Fred. I learned to play the piano when I was a young boy. I was really in love with piano and the Hanon exercises, playing chords, playing music. I loved the piano, and I played the piano until I was about 14 or 15. Practiced almost daily. I actually performed some recitals in Wichita, Kansas. And then all of a sudden I discovered skiing at age 15, and I went from my hands to my feet.
Right.
And I loved the motion, and I love the way I could direct myself down the hill and down the slope.
Still had to hold the poles.
Still had to hold the poles, yes, correct.
Right.
But
the piano suffered.
But the piano suffered.
The piano was lonely.
The piano went into the corner.
Yeah. Well, didn't you discover another sport too? Tennis.
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 Well, you know what's going on right now as we speak is the U.S. Open up in New York City.
Yeah. Watched part of it yesterday.
And it's interesting to see sometimes during a match the commentators, the McEnroes, they're brothers, and they sometimes are commentating, and they'll say, "Oh, look at that! He's got a great touch with the racket." Mm-hmm. Again, this is a tennis racket that's being held by a hand, and the commentators are talking about how the player is hitting the ball, slicing the ball, soft touching the ball, and winning a point.
Yeah. Well, one good musical story deserves another.
Sure.
I like telling this story. Let me tell the details. My mother was a lifelong piano player, you know this, and church organist. And when I was she tried to teach me piano, but it was too complicated for me. I was too impatient. So when I was in elementary school, they gave free lessons. They loaned you the instrument. Mm-hmm. And of course, being a macho fifth grader, I wanted to play the trumpet. So I go down to Mr. Montecalvo. I said, I want to learn to play the trumpet. And he said, all I have left is one flute.
You wanted to play the trumpet because it would be loud and noisy?
Yeah. And I thought it was more cool.
Yeah.
He said, all I have left is one flute. And I said, I'll take it. Well, I'm glad he didn't have any more trumpets left, because I've loved playing the flute over the years. Sadly, it sits in the closet now, but all my friends encourage me, get it out, and play it. But my point in bringing it up is fingers. Over the year, when I used to play a lot, I used to think, gee, hope I don't lose any or break any fingers, because you need 10 fingers to play the flute.
Can't play the flute if you don't have all your fingers.
That's right.
Cool. That's a cool story.
Yeah.
Fred, what about sign language? Now that you're on fingers, it's a very, very important mode of teaching people who can't hear.
Yeah.
And
it's a lifeline for them.
Lifeline. Now, here's an interesting story. I have a son-in-law whose father lives in England, and he has a hearing problem himself, my son-in-law's father. And over time, he developed a way of lip reading and started making films of people talking and helping people learn how to read lips better. He had such an extraordinary system that he approached some universities in England to ask them if they wanted to try and refine
Use his method,
refine his method to teach people who couldn't hear to read lips. That's even better.
Fascinating.
And
it's brilliant, actually.
It's a brilliant. And I've actually seen some of his videos of how he broke down words, syllables, to be able to teach. And he was even thinking about trying to influence the British government, their secret services, to be able to read lips if they were using
tracking down binoculars, looking at criminals.
Or telescope, yes, to read lips.
That's fascinating.
Even teaching people who could hear,
yeah,
but who were doing surveillance.
Right, right.
Interesting.
Oh my, that
Very
is fascinating.
What else have you got on your agenda?
Well, we're jumping around here, and that's part of the fun of it. So,
you mentioned something about laying on of hands.
Laying on of hands, yeah. This would take, this could entail a whole day-long seminar. I did some research about how often the laying on of hands is mentioned in the Bible. Mm-hmm. And I thought I was going to get mostly passages from the New Testament. Mm. Well, there's a lot of passages from the New Testament, but there's a ton from the Old Testament. And I'm not going to bore the audience by flipping through my Bible and reading every one, but I just wrote a few down from the Old I'm sorry, I wrote one down from the Old Testament. Deuteronomy chapter 3, verses 4 through 9. After I go through these, I'll tell a little bit about some of the thematically what they're talking about. In the New Testament, they mention it in the Gospel of Luke chapter 4, Gospel of Mark chapter 16, the second letter of Timothy chapter 1. And like I said, in the Old Testament, Leviticus, Deuteronomy, and all these other books of the Old Testament. And mostly in a, how should I say, a benign way. It was a way of transferring power. It was a way for fathers to give sons blessings, and daughters. And it was a way of, it was a symbol of healing, gathering around and laying hands. You and I just lost a friend to pancreatic cancer.
Yes.
And he used to come to our men's fire pit nights. We have them once a month at my house. And my friend, Kevin, had pancreatic cancer. But that brave man, even though he was in pain, he walked with pain. He came to those right up to, he just didn't make the last one the other night. And we toasted him the other night. But my point being, when he came to one of the meetings, and I already knew this, but he announced to the group that he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. This goes back about 4 or 5 months. We all gathered around him, because we're all Christian men, and laid hands on him. And when you have a couple guys deep, I can have my hand on your shoulder while you have his hand on her. And by extension, so all this laying on of hands, what does it mean? It means support.
Yes.
It means you are praying for that person, not only from afar, but by having bodily contact.
Powerful. Powerful.
Absolutely powerful. And then, of course, in the New Testament, Jesus laying on hands to heal people. After the resurrection and the pouring out of the Holy Spirit on the apostles, they go around healing people by laying on of hands. It's all over the Bible. So
this reminds me, whenever I was a younger boy in Kansas, watching television, and we would see revivals. I'm talking about 12, 13, 14, 15, and you would see a revival, and the minister would have people coming up who had problems with limping or talking or stuttering.
Oh, they came up in wheelchairs?
Came up in wheelchairs, and I was just stunned by just the whole act of laying on of hands, or putting the hand on top of the head of someone, or the hand on the body part.
Must have been fascinating as a young boy.
As a young boy. I mean, it really made me...
Was it frightening to you, or...?
I believed that it was happening at that moment, and that there was something really occurring through the Spirit, and through God.
Oh, so you were aware of that?
It was a
spiritual experience.
I was assuming and believed it was a spiritual experience.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Very impressionable.
Very impressionable. Yeah. We have a lot more material on this, so we're going to do it in 2 parts. I think it's a good stopping place, because we have several other things we wanted to talk about.
Absolutely.
Okay? Yep. So we'll see you back here shortly.
Cool.
Here, we're having what do they say on TV? See you after commercial break. Stay tuned.
Correct. Stay tuned. 2 minutes.
Yeah.